Oh, we are. Hi, guys. We're back. Noah has caffeine. La Colombia.
Colombe.
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
expose, expose your caffeine addiction, as I'm also drinking caffeine in a soup cup.
Hey, this one got 2 grams of protein.
All right, 20 seconds in, and I haven't said anything. Okay, this video is not about coffee or drinking coffee, although that might be a future YouTube video, a little coffee video. So yesterday, right, we talked about the importance of editing, right? We talked about how stand-up comedians, actors, authors, all those people get to edit and revise. Now, what I didn't do, which I'm a hypocrite for, and I'm taking full responsibility, but I'm glad I caught myself, and that's why we're changing. What?
Do you have to eat tofu?
No, not quite. I do, but for different reasons. Don't bring that up. They're gonna think I'm anti-tofu or something.
You are.
Like I was saying, I talked about the importance of editing, revising, how, again, all the polished material that you get to take in, even TikToks, right? People make they take 100 takes. Photos you see on Instagram, people take them over and over and over and over again, right? Photos you see in National Geographic, those photographers will take 10,000 of that same shot and then sift through all 10,000 and pick one, right? The point being is that nothing's done, perfected, polished on the first try. I mean, it's just the likelihood of that is impossible, in my opinion, right? Even like the most charismatic, best authors, best actors, it's so rare, unless you're on like a sketch comedy show where it's all in the moment. That's a whole different thing, right? They practice for that, though, even still. The point where I'm a hypocrite and when I'm wrong, right, which you told me about earlier, I told you to do something, but I didn't show you how to do it, right? So I want to backtrack and actually show you how to make some edits and make revisions, right? Because I've said many times, a good teacher doesn't just tell you to do something. They show you.
They do it for you.
They do it for you and then put your name on it so you get the good grade.
Yes, sir.
But then I'm just doing my own work because I'm the one grading it. So I feel like it's hard to get away with that one.
No, we just don't do school at that point.
Well, then there you go. Then we're back to square one. So the first edit that I feel like we should focus on, right? I think this is a good place to start, is incorporating more information. I think your presentation was a bit brief and you have a lot more room to add stuff. Brief is not always bad. Sometimes it's good to keep it simple and keep it short, but in this case, I think you left out some valuable information. Okay, so scroll up to number 1. Introduction. Okay. What was your introduction?
I was like, the history of a bike and a brief history of the mountain bike.
Do you think there's any room to add stuff there?
I like to keep it short. I think that's good.
Okay.
Do you think there's room to add stuff?
I think there's room to add some of your charisma and some of your jokes, right? Because this is your intro, right? You got to draw us in. You got to bring us in, and you have to, make us entertained. And the way to entertain us, the way to bring us in, right? Remember the last presentation we did, you opened with that personal anecdote, right? Where I almost had no idea what your presentation was going to be until you were done with that anecdote and explained it. So I have to listen to the whole thing because I want to know what the hell's going on, right? That being said, I think you have room for something like that too, right? Think about your opening sentence in an essay, right? Or when you want to tell someone a story, you usually start with some sort of oomph, right, to get us going. I'm not saying the way you have it is wrong. I'm just saying it's not as interesting as you can make it, right?
Sure. I don't know.
No, I'm saying I think does that make sense?
Yeah. I like it.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you?
Yeah. I can give it more oomph.
Do you disagree with me? Because you're allowed to disagree.
I don't disagree with you. I don't know what I was doing. I don't disagree with you. I just like it how it is.
Of course, because it's easier that way. Unfortunately, both you and I are not like super charismatic presenters. You're definitely way more comfortable and charismatic than I am, right? And that just naturally makes you more interesting to watch.
What is
So
charismatic mean?
charismatic just means like you have good body language, you're smooth, people like to listen to you, right? You can draw an audience in. I think you're a good storyteller, right? You have good command over your words, your body language, your actions. So the best part to put that is right in the beginning, right? Because I think I've read something where you lose people in like the first few seconds if you don't draw them in. So to end my little redundant
Just in
rant,
the first few seconds?
what happened?
Did I lose you in the first few seconds?
Well, it's different because I have to watch you, right? I have a whole different reason for giving you my attention, right? But someone who's a spectator, right? Because I want you to give this, you're giving this presentation, which you did without us even talking about it, as if your audience is spectators and not your teacher and your dad or whomever else wants to watch,
Why
right?
didn't you tell me that?
I didn't want to tell you that because I wanted it to come out naturally, and it did. But now that we're editing and revising, this is where we peel back some of the layers. And unfortunately, we're going to take some of that naturalness away, and some of it, it's not going to be forced, but you have to add on, right? So I kept certain things out on purpose, like that part. So how can you spice up the beginning, kind of get our attention, right? You can start with a joke. You can start
Hi,
with,
my name's Noah. What's yours?
I mean, that would be a very interesting way to start it.
I don't know then.
Okay, I'll give you some examples. What do you
Exactly.
think? I like to open with some sort of like a weird open-ended rhetorical question.
Huh?
Like, all right, you don't have to say like this is my presentation. We know this is a presentation, right? That's obvious.
No, you don't.
Well, you'd hope I'd know. If I don't know that this is a presentation, we have bigger issues than that. So this is just what I do, and I'm not saying this is the most effective method, but I've noticed that it does get a little bit of attention. I open with like some sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to find the word. Not a ridiculous, but kind of like an intense open-ended question. Right? Like, again, why did
Like,
humans invent religion? Now, to people who are listening to me talk, not everyone's going to find that interesting, but you are going to have some people who are like, oh, I never thought about that. Why did we invent religion? And now you're going to find out. Right? So I'm not saying this is the most interesting question, but something like, you don't even have to say, like, I'm going to tell you about the history of the bike and the mountain bike, right?
okay,
Or
I thought I should just go straight into it. The man credited with inventing the bike was competition.
no, your opening sentence or your opening comments will allude to that, right? Like if you opened with, why was the bike invented? Why was there a need for the bike? Right?
Let's find out, peeps.
No, you don't have to say let's find out, but obviously you have to provide us with a history of the bike to then explain why the bike was invented. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Can I say peeps?
If you'd like, you could say cool cats if you wanted to.
Huh?
Or what does Carol Baskin say? Cool cats and kittens? If you want to
Yeah.
say that, you can.
What's up, all you cool cats and kittens?
Oh, she's so cringy. Um, so you don't have to come up with that right now. You can put a little note right below where it says one introduction. You can put a little note, like put a dash or a star or an arrow, and you can say, try to make this a bit more interesting or grab the audience's attention. Okay, so I think this is a good start. It'll come to you when you're probably least expecting it, right? If this is the last thing you do in our edits, that's fine, right? This is kind of that thing that,
I
you
want
know,
to put off.
that what?
I try to put off as long as I can.
Yeah, because you can't really
Just like immediately think about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those things that you're going to be doing something so random and it's going to pop into your head and then you're going to immediately write it down and then boom. So I think the next thing is, all right, where can we insert more information? The first thing I like to do is think about, can I expand on the ideas I already brought up? If I can't, or if I already did, then can I add anything else? Now that seems like the same thing, but it's not. Right? So here's an example that just popped into my head, and it's very silly, but I think it'll work. So let's say I'm talking about tomatoes, right?
Mhm.
And in my presentation, I first want to talk about the tomato. Now, if I just say like, oh, the tomato is a fruit that grows on a vine, and then I move on, I have so many ways I could add on to that. I can expand. There are many types of tomatoes, right? Uh, then I could talk about their flavor. Do you understand? Like, yes, the tomato, regardless of what type it is, grows on trees,
I have a
right?
question.
What? Or a
The
vine, whatever.
Tomato. That's a great movie name.
What?
The Tomato.
The tomato? What
Come
is
on.
this movie going to be about?
Tomatoes.
You're going to make a movie about tomatoes?
No, but it's like animated tomatoes. It's like like the M&Ms, like
Yeah.
it's like that. But tomatoes.
And what are they doing?
Tomatoes stuff. What do tomatoes
Doing
do?
tomato stuff.
Like they're trying to escape like the sauce factory, getting
That
turned into
sounds like a
sauce.
pretty cool, like, dark kids movie.
Yeah,
Should write that down.
it's like people. Yeah, it's like tomatoes. Like a group of tomatoes. They get like harvested, but they escape the harvest, and they like try to like escape like getting like made into sauce. But somehow they keep on getting like found and like brought back into the factory, and then they somehow escape.
That sounds like a Disney movie. Wow, that's not a bad idea, actually.
Dude, this caffeine is doing wonders.
It's got your creativity on another level. Okay, but you see what I'm saying, right? Where although the tomato is such a silly example, let's just say hypothetically speaking, I never knew what a tomato was, right? And I'm listening to your presentation that's all about tomatoes. You could totally leave it there, and I'm just supposed to trust you now, right? Okay, the tomato grows on a vine, and that's all I know now. But you have a lot of room there to go expand more. Okay, there's 5 different types of tomatoes, and they each grow on a different vine. And why? Okay, the why is because they're in a different region. You know what I mean? And the weather makes it grow differently, blah, blah, blah. You could take that in many directions, expand a little bit on that one, skip that part. It's up to you. I'm you just have options, right? So that's kind of what I keep in the back of my mind, right? And if the point has already been expanded upon enough, can I add a different point now? Right? Okay, so I expanded upon tomatoes and the vines and all the different types. Now I'm going to move on to, I don't know, food. Okay, tomatoes used in sauces, in salsa, right? Mexico makes pico de gallo and then Italy makes pizza sauce. Okay,
So,
have I exhausted that idea enough? No. I can talk about the types of tomato each region uses and how that affects the food they make. Do you understand? You
yes,
can
sir.
take it from a surface level and expand on it more. And now you've given me a lot of information about tomatoes. Now I know that San Marzanos are grown in Italy and they're specifically used for sauce. And now I
Yes.
know that I don't know what the Mexican tomato is called. I'm going to call it Mexico tomato. Is made specifically for pico de gallo because that's what they have, and that's blah blah blah. Do you understand?
Tomatoes. You like tomatoes?
I don't know why I'm thinking about a tomato at the moment. Right? It's just you're taking something that we don't really think about in depth, like the bike. We just see bikes and we're like, oh, it's a bike. And
Been here.
you're and what?
It's just been here forever. It's just a bike, you know.
Exactly. It's something that we don't think twice about. And you have creative liberty to get us to think about it in a totally different way. That's kind of my goal in a lot of my teaching to you. I'm not saying I succeed a lot of times, but uh, that's my goal is to get you to think about things that you see every day that you don't think twice about, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't realize like Nintendo was made in 1889 as a playing card company. That kind of changes now how I look at Nintendo, right? And if we peel back the layers even more, we'd find out more cool things about it, and
Do you
that
have
kind of
more
changes your
respect for them?
perspective.
Do you have more respect for them now that you know that like they
Totally.
work video games?
Yeah, totally. It's like, how did they go from playing card to Super Mario, right? And then now I want to research that, right? So just finding out that one fun fact has now opened my, like, I'm not going to actually, I might not do it, but I'm intrigued now, right? That's what I want you to do. I want you to pique our interest with the bike, right? So that's why you open with something spicy, something open-ended, right? You can't totally answer the question until you've watched the whole presentation. Right? I'm not saying everything has to be like that, right? But I never thought about the bike with no pedals, no brakes. It can't steer, right? But now you've opened my eyes to like, oh wow, the bike has really come a long way. I always thought the bike that we see it is what first came out, right?
Mhm.
But again, revision after revision after revision, we get the bike today. And then with the mountain bike, I never actually thought about how the mountain bike got to where it is, right? I've rode mountain bikes with you. We've talked about them, but we've never like, delved into the history. Do you know what I'm saying? Understand the point I was trying to make?
Yes, we're making a movie about tomatoes.
All right, so I guess keep that in the back of your mind as you do your edits or as we edit this together, right? It's not, you can be creative with your timeline, right? You are allowed to, what are you doing?
A lot of things.
Have you listened to anything I just said?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
The main thing I got out of it is maybe you weren't necessarily trying to say this, but like elaborate on stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily elaborate on. And it's not just adding stuff, it's adding new stuff and like stuff that intrigues you.
Yes. That is one of the main things I said. You have creative freedom to construct this story in any way you want. Because again, it is a story at the end of the day. So feel free to create any type of narrative that you want to create, right? That's where you're allowed to be biased in how you present the story and what you decide to focus on. What you can't be biased on is the information itself, right? So in my tomato example, I decided to focus on cooking. That's my bias, right? Because I'm interested in cooking. Whereas my dad, he likes to grow and plant, so he doesn't care about cooking. His bias might be focusing on the way tomatoes are grown and why they have
and how
what?
easy some are to grow and stuff like that. Yeah.
100%, exactly, or why they have the flavor profile they have. Whereas we're both taking the same information, right? Certain tomatoes are grown in certain environments and you get different flavors. I'm going to cooking, he's staying with growing. That's where you're allowed to be biased. But we took a totally different approach in this hypothetical example of tomatoes.
Yes, sir.
So, that being said, let's do that with this. Right? So let's add on, expand on ideas, change things around. Right? So the man that was credited with inventing the first supposed bike was Comte Sivrock.
Count Medisivrock.
All right, well, that is not what that says, but I'm glad you can read it, of France. He invented a bike type thing that was called a c'est la refaire. Right? Okay, you have a lot
than me.
What?
You can say that so much better. I say lay refer.
C'est le refaire.
You just say it in a French accent. It sounds better.
I'm probably a French person would probably think I'm an abomination.
You might be.
All right, so let's consider a way we can add on to that or expand. What comes to mind?
Maybe a little bit about him.
Do it. That's perfect. Give us a little info about him if you can. Even if there's nothing, right? If you can't find anything, you could simply say The man is a mystery, right? We don't even know when his birthday was. I would say you don't have to Google it right now. Put it in your notes. Hold on, go back to your notes and do the same thing you did underneath the introduction.
Or what? What do you mean?
That
Like,
one? Yeah. So go underneath the C'est la refraire. The same way you put a note there. You know? Put a note there also. And talk about the count more. Right? Because today I don't want to focus on the research just yet. I want to give us a guide for when we research. Talk about the man. Now you can also jot down any ideas you have in this moment. What do you want to talk about the man? That did not make any sense. What information would you want to add about the man? You can put an arrow or a dash or another line underneath.
Maybe like when he was born, what do you think? Like maybe like how he grew up.
Excellent. All that is going to help us understand why he invented the bike. So remember, when we read The Prince, we learned about the author because then it gives us a better understanding on why he wrote the book, right? If we understand the guy who invented the bike better, we get a better picture on why he invented the bike. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Rich.
Interesting. Where he grew up. Was he a farmer? Did he have problems commuting to the city? Right? All those things are going to help us understand the bike more.
Her. This is how you spell grew, right?
Yes. Well, that was grow. Did he grow up rich? Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's grew. Good. No, you had it right the first time. Did he grow up rich? Where he grew up. Good. That's perfectly fine. Both of those. Put a comma, right? Did he grow up rich, comma, where he grew up. Oh boy. Comma. Anything else? Keep going. What else is popping in your head? Again, this is going to change as you do more research, but these are just guiding questions for us.
Was he like, what do you think about, like, was he like did he invent like anything else like that or something?
Totally. That's amazing. That's awesome.
How do you spell
I-N. Oh, you got it. Did he invent anything? Y. And then you could just get rid of that E. Yeah, there you go. Autocorrect. Okay, and the one question that I want you to focus on.
I suppose, is that else?
One more E. E-L-S-E. And you can put this underneath what you just wrote with like a little star. You could just hit return. Okay. Why did he invent the bike? That's the part you didn't really focus on, and I think that is very valuable. Right? Because you're giving us a history of the bike, and I want to know why was it invented anyway? Right? Why was there a need for a bike? Because again, they say necessity is the mother of all invention, right? There was a need for a bike, and thus he invented it. You don't just invent stuff if there's no need for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense though?
Yeah.
Like, actually.
Yeah. I didn't actually write about that. No, I realized. Why did he invent it?
Right? There had to be a need for it. He had to see that society needed some transportation system that wasn't a horse and carriage. Right? They didn't have cars yet, obviously.
I didn't see anything, so I was like, yeah, well.
Well, then again, this is where we could do a little bit of deeper research, which I'll help you with. Or if we truly can't find anything, you extrapolate, which means based on the research you found and the information, you make your own educated guess.
That's kind of what I did here.
Exactly.
Fun gimmick.
Exactly. And you're allowed to do that. You just have to let us know. And you're not saying you did this. You just let us know that you're what they call extrapolating, right? You're pulling something from the information that you're using your brain for. Does that
I
make
think
sense?
I think you'll be happy. I actually looked up.
All right, what's going on YouTube? I'm going to keep this super brief because the video is already 25 minutes long. So basically, the point of this video was, in the previous video I put out, I was going over why revisions and edits and stuff are important, but I did the thing that I think teachers do all the time, which is terrible, which is tell how to do something and not show something. And I think I've made a video on this in the past. So to correct that error and to really teach how to make edits and revisions, I actually showed how to do it, right? So I owned up to my mistake, which I think is really important for growth, and then I actually showed how to make edits and revisions, right? So that's basically the point of this video. It's a little long, but there's a lot of amazing stuff in there. So hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching.